In the early 1990s, Germany had just reunified. The country was undergoing economic reforms, rebuilding its industry, and seeking a new identity in a world where technology was just beginning to change everything. 30 years have passed, and Germany in 2025 looks completely different. It has transformed from an industrial giant into a technological player, focusing not only on production, but also on innovation, sustainable development, and the digital economy. Today, we will look at how Germany has changed over the decades, from factories to startups, from mechanics to artificial intelligence. To understand modern Germany, you need to go back to the 1990s, the era after the unification of East and West. At that time, the country faced a gigantic task: integrate two economies that differ in structure and level of development. West Germany was the economic engine of Europe, with a powerful industry and a high standard of living. The eastern part lagged behind by almost 40 years. The main goal of those years was to restore a unified infrastructure, modernize factories, create jobs, and maintain social stability. Germany in the 1990s was an era when the word industry was synonymous with the future. The country relied on mechanical engineering, automotive industry, chemistry, and metallurgy. Concerns like Siemens, Volkswagen, BMW, and BASF were symbols of German reliability and quality. However, innovation in the digital sense was not yet a priority at that time. Germany relied on mechanical precision, engineering skills, and exports. At that time, the whole world was experiencing the first wave of globalization. Production began to partially move to Asia, where labor was cheaper. Germany, being a country with high labor costs, faced a challenge: how to remain competitive without losing quality. It was then that the Industry 4.0 philosophy began to take shape, the idea that industry should be not only physical, but also digital. This concept will not be officially released until 2011, but its roots go back to the 1990s, when German engineers began to implement the first automated control systems and robots in factories. By the 2000s, Germany had already become a recognized leader in manufacturing and exports, but dependence on traditional industries began to be felt. Innovation centers, like in the USA or South Korea, have only just begun. The IT sector developed slowly, venture capital investments were poorly distributed, and bureaucracy hampered the growth of startups. Nevertheless, the country was building a solid foundation: education, standards, quality, and trust in engineering culture. All of this will later become the key to moving into a new era. Germany's transition to an innovative model accelerated particularly in the 2010s and 2020s. There were several reasons: global digitalization, climate challenges, and the realization that dependence on oil and gas is no longer sustainable. The German government has launched large-scale programs for digital transformation, support for green energy, and scientific research. This is how new industries have emerged: renewable energy, battery technology, artificial intelligence, and robotics. By 2025, Germany is no longer just a country of factories. It is a country of startups, research hubs, and green innovations. Berlin has become one of the largest startup centers in Europe, along with London and Paris. Companies like BioNTech, SAP, and Infineon demonstrate that German engineering now lives in symbiosis with IT and biotechnology. However, the path from industry to innovation was uneven. Germany has long remained conservative in digitalization. The public sector has been slowly moving online, and the internet infrastructure has lagged behind the Scandinavian countries. But the crises, including the pandemic and the energy challenges of the 2020s, were the impetus for acceleration. Initiatives have emerged to develop digital education, online services, and cloud solutions for businesses. Today, Germany is actively investing in quantum technologies, neural interfaces, and green chemistry. An important element of the German model is sustainability. Germany in 2025 is betting not just on technology, but on technology with responsibility. In the energy sector, there's a transition to hydrogen, solar, and wind systems. In transport, electric vehicles, and new standards of eco-production. Even car giants like Mercedes and BMW are changing their approach. Fewer internal combustion engines, more autonomous systems, and digital services. The industry is being rebuilt under the concept of smart factories, where production lines are controlled by algorithms and real-time data analysis. All this requires a new work philosophy. If Germany in the 1990s valued stable employment and labor unions, then Germany in 2025 values flexibility, knowledge, and creativity. The younger generation chooses not only large corporations, but also technology startups, research, and innovation campuses. A new image has emerged of a German specialist, not just an engineer, but a techno-humanist who combines precision with digital thinking. The country's economy is also becoming more diversified. Germany is strengthening its position in the fields of software, robotics, biomedicine, and climate technology. At the same time, its main strength remains consistency and quality. Unlike more risky American startups, German companies are growing slowly but steadily, ensuring a high level of trust among partners and investors. If we compare the international influence, then the 1990s Germany was associated with an industrial miracle, exports, and stability. In 2025, with technological progress, environmental leadership, and scientific responsibility, the country continues to be the locomotive of Europe, but not only thanks to cars and machine tools, but thanks to ideas, research, and digital solutions. A comparison of these two eras shows that Germany's path is an example of a gradual but conscious evolution. There are no revolutions here, there is consistency. From an industrial power, it has become the technological laboratory of Europe. Previously, success was measured by the number of machines produced, but now it is measured by the number of innovations, patents, and startups. The German formula for the future is simple: engineering plus data plus sustainability. And this is what makes Germany 2025 one of the most balanced economies in the world. And if you want more stories about how countries, companies, and people move from tradition to technology, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new comparisons between eras and the future that has already arrived.